PodCastle, episode 687 for July 13th, 2021. In September by Amy Ogden. Rated PG. Hello and welcome to PodCastle. I'm your host, Summer Fletcher. In September was previously published by Daily Science Fiction back in 2019, and it was written for you by Amy Ogden. Amy Ogden is a former science teacher and software tester. Now she writes about sad astronauts and angry princesses. Her first novellas, Sun Daughters, Sea Daughters, and Local Star, debuted in 2021 from Tor.com and Interstellar Flight Press, respectively. Her short fiction has appeared in Clark's World, Analog, and Beneath Ceaseless Skies. And she also co-edits Translunar Traveler's Lounge, a zine of fun and optimistic speculative fiction. For this week's narrator, we are very pleased to welcome back Tina Connolly. Tina Connolly is the author of the Iron Skin and Seriously Wicked series, and the collection On the Eyeball Floor. She has been a finalist for the Hugo, Nebula, Norton, and World Fantasy Awards. She co-hosts Escape Pod, narrates for Beneath Ceaseless Skies, and all 4 Escape Artist podcasts, as well as running the Parsec-winning flash fiction podcast, Toasted Cake. Find Tina at tinaconnolly.com. Fun fact, Tina's very first PodCastle narration was episode 13, Spell of the Sparrow by Jim Hines, bringing her current total to 28. And now, open up your calendar, flip to September 1st, and enjoy the story.
In September by Amy Ogden. On a humid night in mid-July, Emily can't sleep. Her hand keeps sliding into the cool open space on the far side of the mattress. She slips out of bed and pads down the hall into the kitchen. The breakfast bar stool screeches when she pulls it out, but there's no one in the house to wake. The wall calendar from the bank has a picture of some lake up north for this month. Emily flips ahead to August's verdant farm, to September's antique schoolhouse. She counts the days from here to there, as she has 100 times before. It's early August when Emily stands in the middle of the cul-de-sac 2 streets over, holding a half-empty solo cup of warm beer. All the other neighbors have been sure to greet her, but nobody knows what to say beyond, "How about this weather? Have you been to the farmer's market yet this summer? How's your garden doing?" The garden was Sam's, and most of Emily's meals these days are eaten out of a stouffer's tray. "Oh, God, didn't you hear?" The retired nurse who lives over on Elm is saying to Mrs. Gutierrez. The words aren't meant for Emily's ears, but she hears anyway. "He's in September now. That poor girl. At least there aren't any children, thank goodness." Mrs. Gutierrez sniffs. "Could be worse, yeah? My sister, you know, so pious. She's in Holy Week all the time now." Emily pours her beer out into the gutter and turns toward home. On August 12th, she impulsively grabs a basil plant from its pallet on her way into the supermarket. By the time she gets home, her momentum has bled away. She manages to get it planted in one of the raised beds, in amongst a tangle of dandelions and purslane. She spends the whole last weekend in August drinking all the beer that's left in the fridge, until she's drunk enough to put the DVD of their wedding movie in. Emily and Sam, September 16th. Says the overlay, in the overwrought floral font her sister picked out when she edited the footage together. Emily misses the last dance, and their departure in Sam's tin can and boot-festooned Chevy in order to heave a stomachful of beer and bile into the toilet. When she comes back, she tears the DVD out of its slot and snaps it in half. She should feel guilty, she should feel relieved, but the whole thing is backed up on her computer anyway. The night of August 31st, she lies awake in bed for hours. Sleep spools her in so slowly that she doesn't notice. Not until she snaps awake and gropes for the other side of the bed. Still cold. Still empty. She pulls on a pair of shorts and runs downstairs. Sam's standing in front of the garden, where the basil towers over the huddled weeds with his hands on his hips. He looks over his shoulder when the screen door bangs shut behind her. What happened? We used to do it together. All the planting and weeding and the harvest, too. It was too hard to pick out tomato seeds from a catalog with your name on the mailing address. It wasn't fair for you to leave me. It wasn't fair of you to ask me to stay. A fresh pain blots out these dull old wounds. Hi, honey, would be a nice place to start. Hi? Oh! The deep furrows in Sam's brow smooth and push upward instead of down. Oh, Em. For me, it was just yesterday. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. It's okay, Emily says. It's not. Look, I put in some basil, at least. We can make pesto. They make dinner. They make love. When it's over, Emily goes into the bathroom and sits on the toilet and muffles her tears in a towel that smells like him. A floorboard creaks. Sam's in the doorway, jaw taut with worry. Emily? I can't do it anymore. She twists the towel on her lap. Say goodbye for a year at a time? I've been thinking about staying... Oh my God. He's on his knees in front of her, his hands on her white knuckles. I was hoping. I didn't want to push you. September is just the apples and peaches and corn in season and the first week of school joy and the air starting to turn. Our anniversary. It's perfect. In May. I was thinking about staying in May. September passes quietly. They go to work. They eat together with quiet conversation about new movies they want to see, about old favorite restaurants, about their current library books. Sam's latest read is a history of misconceptions in science. Emily's is a historical romance. They both make interested noises about adding the other's current favorite reads to their list of books on hold, but neither of them ever does. They let their anniversary pass unmarked. Many of their evenings are spent apart, him curled up on the couch with a magazine, her taking long runs in the crispening air. But sometimes, at home those nights, one reaches for the other, and neither ever turns the other away. There is a gentle relief underneath the motion of Emily's hands, the roll of her hips. At the end of September, they go to the farmer's market and buy everything they need for a big feast. A pair of ribeye steaks, tomatoes the size of Sam's fist, emerald green zucchini. They open a bottle of wine from the basement, one they were saving for a special occasion, and they stuffed themselves stupid and laughed deep into the night. Emily falls asleep on the couch, with Sam's heartbeat under her ear. When sunlight from the window spills onto her face, she rises with a start, heart pounding. It takes her a moment to figure out what, where, when, who. She exhales tremblingly. She pushes a smile onto her face and goes to clean up last night's mess in the kitchen. May dawns cool and cloudy, but as the days pass, the earth grows dark and warm. Emily turns her face toward the sun. She sells the queen bed, which takes up too much space in the bedroom anyway, and downsizes to a full. She signs up to run the Memorial Day half marathon, which she's missed the past 3 years. At the farmer's market one Saturday, she pauses beside one stall and ducks beneath the tent. When she comes out, her arms are overfull with paper-bagged pepper and tomato and zucchini and watermelon plants, and yes, one little basil, too. She spends the afternoon giving them back to the soil, until finally she can stand back and stretch her weary arms, beam a sunlight bright smile on the lovely little rose of green. She finishes the half marathon, several minutes slower than her personal best, but she finishes. The rest of the long weekend is spent babying her aching muscles and promising herself to train better the next time around. Which is this time around. She smiles at the calendar, where the first week of June is printed in a ghostly gray at the tail end of May's page. She awakes into another beautiful first day of May, stretching her arms and legs to the full length of the bed. She rises, dresses, puts on the coffee before work. She puts on her shoes, picks up her briefcase, turns toward the garage. Instead, an unknown impulse draws her the opposite way, out into the backyard, where the grass is dew-kissed in the tender pink sunlight. The garden is still there, but a new roll of chicken wire has been unspooled down the middle, so that half is bare mulch, waiting for a gardener's hands. The other side has transformed into a strawberry patch, and the pale faces of the new berries nod in greeting.
Welcome back. Is a guitarist still a guitarist if they no longer have the use of their hands? Similarly, when does a partnership start or stop being a partnership? Stop me if you've heard this one. The Buddha goes up to a hot dog vendor in New York City. Vendor says, "Hey man, what can I get you?" And the Buddha, as adaptive as all deified persons, replies, "Yeah, make me one with everything." Stop me if you heard this one. The past is longing and the future is anxiety. The only time peace can be found is now. You must have heard that one, or something like it, right? We grow together, we grow apart, and all the while the essential self exists in an eternal now. Every label we carry, friend, pharmacist, guitarist, September, May, is a kind of separation until we put them down and recognize the continuity of experience, of existence, of love. This is all to say that this story made me cry for 1,000 reasons, or one reason, or no reason at all. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Nice work, Amy. And that was our show for this week. On behalf of everyone here at PodCastle, our audio engineer Peter Adrian Baravesh, our forum moderator Osicat, your co-editors Shingai and Jerry Kagunda, and Eleanor R. Wood, along with all of our fantastic first readers like Tierney Bailey, Sophia Barker, Matt Dovey, Aidan Doyle, Amelia Harrington, Kai Hudson, Craig Jackson, Julian K. Jarbo, Shomari Kirkwood, Devin Martin, Julia Patt, Hamilton Perez, Shrikupa Krishna Prasad, Zeev Witties, and Caitlin Zavanovich. Thanks for letting us share another story with you. PodCastle is part of Escape Artists Incorporated and is distributed under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Feel free to share it, but don't sell it or change it. Our music is by Shiva in Exile. Everything we do on PodCastle is 100% donor-funded, and if you'd like to support what we do, I invite you to join us on our Patreon at patreon.com/EAPodcasts. In addition to Patreon, you can support us via Amazon Prime, Twitch, and other ways. Would you like to learn how? EscapeArtist.net will show you the way. We'll be back next week with another tale. See you then.